So I think in an economy like this, like I said, one, we have to make sure that we are being proactive. And
Yes.
also, it's a good time to go and look at those numbers that we've been pushing off to the side and giving to our bookkeeper or CPA. Start taking a look at those numbers to see what's working in your business. What is profitable? What's making you money? Take a look at your customers and see who are your best customers, and then start, kind of double down in that, you're working with your customers and see, can you build relationships with them in such a way that you're getting referrals, from those customers. Again, really understand your numbers and making sure that whatever services or products that you have within your business, that it is hitting that bottom line in a profitable manner. So now is really a good time to figure out what's working.
Hi, I'm Erin Marcus, former corporate executive turned entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Conquer Your Business. Welcome to the Ready Yet podcast. We're excited to bring you more than 100 episodes of interviews and insights designed to help entrepreneurs get the financial and emotional freedom they need in order to build a business and a life they're proud of. All right. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Ready Yet podcast. I'm very excited to have my guest here with me today, Renee Collins. We played Tech Challenge. Today is Erin's personal Mercury in retrograde day, so I probably should have warned you before we even got started, but we're here now, and I can't wait to have this conversation with you. But before we get started, why don't you tell everybody a little bit more officially who you are, what you do, all the cool things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Erin. So again, my name is Renee Collins. I am a CPA and I'm also certified as a financial planner. And I work with professionals as well as business owners, helping them to take control of their money so that I like to say they can live a life by design rather than one by default. And you can, you know, and so I love numbers, but I always like to tell my story and tell people that I was good with numbers, but I wasn't always good with money, and I think that's important to understand because a lot of people will tell me, clients will say, well, I've never been good with math, so I know I'm not good, with money. And the truth is that they really don't
They have
connect
nothing to
or
do with each other.
Exactly. And, I had to learn the hard way. I did. I understood how to, I did well in geometry,
Well, okay.
algebra, and all this
I mean, and
calculus.
it's so interesting because as humans, we tell ourselves these crazy stories that make zero sense externally to other people, and yet we don't see it for ourselves. And as you're talking, I'm thinking of all the people we know with money stories and money beliefs. Nobody has a lack mentality because their parents said to them, math doesn't grow on trees. Like, that's not how that works, right? Your
Exactly.
parents they say money doesn't grow on trees. We don't have that kind of money. They don't
Right.
say we don't do that kind of math. Like, that's not.
Absolutely. That's it. That is so very true. And it's so important because, whether you are a professional or you're a business owner, you have to understand how to manage your money, and I'm just a believer that anyone can do it. It's just a skill that we have not been taught yet. And that's it.
Absolutely. And so one of the things I love about how, and you put it in different words, I always say, get out of reaction mode, be in charge, right? That's my version. I also talk about if you're not building your brand with intention, you're building it by accident,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, just to jump right in, because I love something you did recently, right? Let's back up. CPA, it's tax season is tax season. We all know how y'all get, right? We all know the story, right? We
Yes.
all know the story, because that's really all it is, of
Mm-hmm.
what a CPA's life is like from about February 1st until April 18th.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a choice. Like lawyers have the same thing. That's just lawyer culture. Well, really? Because it's a choice. Or I know realtors who, God forbid, they never answer their phone. You know, if they miss one phone call, their entire career is going to go down the toilet. That's a choice. It's not true.
Right.
So why don't you share with our listeners what you as a financial planner and as, you know, and all of the credentials did right before April 15th this year?
I took a vacation.
You took a vacation. Yes, you
I
did.
I went to Costa Rica for 5 days. I did. It was a trip that I'm going to say was a trip of a lifetime. It was an opportunity that was presented to me. A friend asked if I wanted to go, and the date was April, what was the date? I think like the 10th or the 12th.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
tax season ended on the 18th. But this is how I did it. Just like with everything else, I planned for it. So I knew in, I think, March that I was going to be going. And what's funny is that just like any other business owner, my first thought was there is no way in the world I can leave during tax season. I can't do this, you know? And then I started thinking about, let me reframe
Well,
the
wait
way.
a minute. What if I could do this?
Exactly. I started thinking, let's see how I can do
How?
this.
Well, and so what you did when I teach a lot of decision making, I teach a lot of success mindset in addition to all the strategy, because I you know, one of the things I say, the plan doesn't matter if you can't do the plan, right?
Right.
So that's definitely interwoven into my world. And one of the things I know is you can't solve a problem obsessing over the problem. You have to flip the switch. You have to go, okay, wait a minute. And my favorite thing is in a world of infinite possibilities, how could this work?
Absolutely.
You have to
Absolutely.
turn your brain onto problem solving instead of problem obsessing and stories. And so how was
Absolutely.
Costa Rica?
Yeah.
So I love it.
It was great. I had such a fantastic time. And like I said, all I did was plan for it. You know, once I got over this idea of, oh, I can't do this, I started thinking, like I said, how can I do this? And basically what I did was I notified my clients. I told them, you know, I need your tax documents and everything in by, I think the date was April 1st. So once I got everything in by April 1st, and some
Not
clients,
unreasonable. This is not unreasonable request. This is not,
exactly.
but this is such a correlation over what you're talking about, the way you introduced your approach to money. It's just a skill. It's just a choice. It's access to information and then deciding to do something with it.
Absolutely. And that's what I did. Right. And that's
Perfect.
what I did, you know, and it's funny because even when I'm working with clients, I always tell clients, think about the type of business that you want for your life. Because sure, we want to service our clients and we want to make sure that we are meeting their needs. But at the same time, if you're going to stay in love with your business, that business needs to be serving you as well. And that's important,
Well,
you know?
another thing that you did, and it happened, you didn't seek it out, but this is a very good point. Your commitment to the outcome has to be greater than the fear or the story that's stopping you. So if somebody would have just said to you, hey, Renee, you want to go to the movies tonight? You would have been like, whatever, no. But big old trip to Costa Rica, right? That is a big enough prize. So taking that lesson forward, what do you know, now that you know, and you knew anyway, but you get to design your life when you're pulled forward by a impetus that's that strong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and I think the key there for anyone, you know, that's listening to this thinking that, oh, I can't take a vacation or, the business is going to burn down around me or something along those lines. No, you can do it. You just haven't figured it out yet, you know, and that's the key is that you just have to figure it out. And my clients, they all understood. I shared with them, some of them I shared with them that I had a good opportunity to go out of the country for a little bit. And they were like, go for it.
Oh, right. That's the other thing. Most people, contrary to what cancel culture and the media will have you believing, most normal people want you to be happy. Absolutely. Like people are rooting for, and not let me put it this way. People who actually know you, strangers, different story, but your clients want you to be happy.
Absolutely. Happy and rested. Trust me, you want your CPA to be rested.
You want them to be happy and rested. That's a really good point.
Exactly. You want your CPA to be rested. Trust me on that one, So, but it worked out. And those who did not get their information in by the 1st, they went on an extension, and so I didn't have any problems. Mm-hmm.
Not a big deal. Nobody cares. The government don't even care. I mean, it's a freaking piece of paper to file. They don't care.
That's right. That's right.
We make this big old deal about it and nobody cares. So let's shifting gears a little bit. Tell us like your origin story, your iterations, because I know you do a couple different things in your business. Your business has iterated and expanded to include things that I know when you started, you didn't necessarily think, right? We don't plan for it. We all land up in places by moving forward. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Absolutely. So my journey started with, I think I always wanted to be a small business owner, but I didn't quite know how to do that. I didn't know what it looked like because I didn't have a path in front of me. I didn't have anyone to, whose path I could follow or go to and ask, advice or anything. So I probably took the same route that most people take. You go to college, you graduate, get a job. The problem is that shortly after 911, I lost my job. Job and I was a single mom. And that was pretty eye-opening because the only source of income I had was gone. And I had not really saved any money. Remember, I told you I was good in math, but I wasn't necessarily.
Well, and you had a job. We don't assume when we're employed, or at least we didn't back then, that was just going to go away. We are of the age where we were brought up. You do a good job, you do the right thing, you get a job, you're good, right? That's how that works.
Exactly. And so after that, it was, like I said, it was eye-opening. And so eventually I did get another job, but it completely changed my perspective, because I felt like I will never be in a situation like this again, where I just didn't have any money. And I was trying to figure out, what the next step for me and my young son was going to be. And fortunately that I did take on that attitude, because I lost my job again at the height of the housing crash.
Oh my God.
Yes. And what was that? 2008, 2009. Yeah, exactly. But this time I was prepared. So I had been doing taxes on the side. So I had a little side hustle and, I worked in corporate America. And so this time when I lost my job, I thought, you know what? I'm done.
I don't need to be hit over the head. I got it. I heard you. I got it. I got the message. Stop with the hitting me over the head. I caught on.
Absolutely. I said, that's it. I'm done. I've always wanted to start my own business. And so for me, this was a great opportunity to do it. So I took the leap. And at that time I was doing
during a crisis, during an economic crisis.
I know, right? Who does that? Exactly. Who does that? I mean, the market is down, unemployment is high, actually similar to what it is today.
Right. It's no different now. So here's a really good point. Like, let's visit this for a second, because I understand and I absolutely believe that business right now, it is harder to business than it was a year ago. I've seen it in my business. I've seen it with my clients. You have to be better at business right now to be doing okay. That does not mean things are not possible.
Right. Exactly.
That's not what it means.
Absolutely.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Ready Yet podcast brought to you by Conquer Your Business. With decades of experience, Conquer Your Business creates business and branding strategies that build multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses. And we don't just show you what to do. We have an entire team of people available to help you do it, strategy and implementation. You can learn more and reach out to us by visiting conqueryourbusiness.com.
And one of the benefits of getting older is how much I just don't care anymore.
Yes.
And I think it's just because I've been through corporate life, .com bust, housing market bust.
Yes.
I don't know, whatever you want to call this current one, because it wasn't COVID, because COVID, they were printing money and giving it to people. So that was fine. But
right.
Whatever you want and whatever they'll name this one, unless it already has a name, right? Like, this is just what happens.
It is. It's just a part of the business cycle. It's a part of the economic cycle. There are going to be highs and there are going to be lows, and as business owners, we have to be able to prepare for that. And we have to know that it's coming, because it is. It's just a matter of when and how are you going to protect your business. And you have to be creative. If you're a business owner, you have to be creative, because it's going to always be something that is going to require you to, what was the word we used? Pivot. That was our word during COVID. So
nobody wants to ever say again.
Yes. I know, but this is the part of a business owner's journey, is that it's going to be highs and lows, and you're going to have to just figure out a way to, power through it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what do you see your clients doing? Like, what advice do you give them? Let's give some people some tactical takeaways.
Absolutely. So I think in an economy like this, like I said, one, we have to make sure that we are being proactive. And also, it's a good time to go and look at those numbers that we've been pushing off to the side and giving to our bookkeeper or CPA. Start taking a look at those numbers to see what's working in your business. What is profitable? What's making you money? Take a look at your customers and see who are your best customers, and then start, kind of double down in that, you're working with your customers and see, can you build relationships with them in such a way that you're getting referrals, from those customers. Again, really understand your numbers and making sure that whatever services or products that you have within your business, that it is hitting that bottom line in a profitable manner. So now is really a good time to figure out what's working.
Well, and it's all the things that some I see business owners, they do it once a year. Right?
Exactly.
And when the questions aren't any different. And I love that you're saying this, because you're doing the money version. And I give the same exact advice, more on the marketing and strategy side. Right? Look at what's going on, what's landing, what's not landing, what do they need, what are you providing? Do those two things have anything to do with each other anymore?
Exactly.
Right? Like, and the numbers, what you're talking about is the same. What's working financially, what's not working. It's amazing to me. I was taught a while ago to do audits, not annually, but I do a monthly audit where I look at my numbers and see, and it is amazing to me that no matter how many times I do that every single month, about every other month, I find some kind of random ass fee that I don't need. Where does it,
exactly.
It's like Tupperware. Where does it come from? Right? It's like we do this every month. We look at everything we're being billed for. We get rid of the stuff we don't need. And 2 months later, we have more stuff we don't need. Like, it's like the Tupperware cabinet. Where did it
like, where did this come from?
We have more than we need. We cleaned it out 2 months ago. It just happens if you don't stay on top of it.
Absolutely. And then the other thing too is now is a great time to put a budget in place, because when you have a budget in place, especially if you put a plan in place, that ties to that budget, well, now it gives you a bird's eye view of whether or not that plan is working. Because if you tie that plan to the budget, you can look at your budget, like you said, on a monthly basis to see, are we on target? You can't do that if you're giving your financials to your CPA at the end of the year. It's too late. You don't get to go into your CPA's office at the end of the year and say, oh my gosh, I made how much?
That's why I don't, right? That's what, the other thing is the numbers are too vague, right? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons I don't like big annual goals. I mean, yeah, I use them to have a direction to shoot for, but the numbers become very abstract when they're a year away. Exactly. And for most business owners, and I'm sure you see this, most business owners don't know what work goes into making $250,000. They don't know yet because they haven't done it a bunch of times. So to set a goal of making $250,000 is almost irrelevant. It's not actionable because you don't know what to do to get there.
Exactly.
You don't know. And if you're doing,
I agree with that.
Yeah. If you're only doing this annually, you're missing your opportunity to, I won't even say pivot, to iterate and adjust and do what needs to be done.
That's exactly right. You know, if you do have that goal of 250,000 or whatever the goal may be, you know, that ideally you want to take that and break it down into bite-sized pieces, into tasks, you know, and you want to be doing something every single day, you know, and part of that is looking at those numbers. You know, you can look at those sales on a daily basis to see what's going on. You can take that 250,000 and break that down into daily sales numbers, and that you can track. You know, and what's that saying? The saying goes that, you know, what gets tracked, it gets
what
done
gets
or something.
Measured gets managed. What gets
there you go. Exactly.
I track everything. That's so funny you said that. That's one of the things I was talking about in my live show this morning. We debrief everything. We measure everything at so many different points so that it isn't just well, it didn't work. Why? It's because it fell apart right here. Exactly. And that's what you want to do. You want to be able to pinpoint, you know, where that breakdown is, you know, and if you can do that, then you can go in and you can tweak it, figure out what's working again and what's not working. And then you keep tweaking and tweaking and tweaking till you make it work. Right. And here, that's the other thing. I love that you're saying that because it's never going to be fixed.
No.
You know, we were just talking about, you and I have seen 3 different recessions, and that's during our working years, not even during our lifetime. You know, I was also alive during the gas crisis of the 70s, you know, right? There was other things that I felt less affected by it, but I remember it. But it's the only way, like, if you tell yourself this is just part of the process, you don't get hung up on whether you're doing it right or wrong. It just is.
It is.
You're never going to fix this.
Right.
Ever.
And you learn to just accept it, you know, to just accept it as a part of the journey. And I think that's the biggest part of the journey of being an entrepreneur, is that you just have to accept it as is. And again, be creative and figure out, you know, ways to, you know, whatever the problem is. I think the one thing that I always think about is that if other people are doing it, then that means they figured it out, and so can I. That's the way
my brother,
I see it.
you have a much nicer way of saying it than my brother and I. My brother and I say that dumber people than us have figured this out.
Right.
You're much nicer. So what do you tell the people? I know because it's been told to me over and over and over again, and I'm not even in the financial world the way you are. What do you say to the people who are literally avoiding their numbers? 1, either because they told themselves they don't know, or 2, because they're scared to look.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually very common. You know,
Yeah.
they're afraid to look at the numbers, you know, but again, it's a skill. You know, sit down with whether it's your bookkeeper or it's your CPA and have them take those numbers and just really break them down into layman terms. And hopefully you're working with someone who can help you understand it without using, you know, all this financial jargon. But looking at your numbers, you're going to find that it's not as bad as you think it is. You know, just, you know,
people, my God, I'm making more money than I thought I
was. Exactly. And here's the thing is that if you really get into these numbers, they're going to tell you a story. they're going to tell you whether or not you are selling a particular product or service at a profit or not. They'll tell you who your top customers are, so it will give you a lot of information. And honestly, you want to know that information. You want to know, who is my best customer, because you want to treat them, like gold,
and what you said, I love what you said, that when I said, they're scared to look, and you said that's very common. And I think people are worried about being judged. And I know that I talk to a lot of business. I probably talk to 20, 50 business owners a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk to several people who do similar things to what you do. And there's not a judgmental jerk among them.
Right.
They just want to help people the way that any other consultant and service professional want to help.
Absolutely. And I think what's important, just money in general, and I'm just a believer in, let's have these conversations around money, because what you're going to discover is that you're not alone. The problem is that when we think we're alone, we tend to retreat and feel like, oh, it's just me. What's wrong with me? And the truth is there's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't been taught that skill yet. And when you start to have that conversation, then we will begin to understand, like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You're having that problem too. Well, let's start talking about it. Let's start having this conversation. And when we can do that, that's when all the shame will start to melt away, the guilt and, the judgment, but we have to have the conversation.
Yeah. And I try as much as I can to look at things like this, the way, like, when my computer breaks, I don't get mad at myself for not knowing how to fix it. When my car breaks, I don't get mad at myself for knowing how to fix it. Like, I'm really, really good. I have narrowed down what I'm really, 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 really good at. And I own the crap out of it. And everything else, man, I will be the first one to tell you, not my circus, not my monkey. Like, don't know how to do it. Not the best person. But the great news is there's a million people out there who are good at it.
Exactly. Absolutely. And you don't have to be the CPA. That's it. You don't have to be the CPA. You don't have to be the bookkeeper, but you do have to understand the story that your numbers are telling you, because you need that information to make financial decisions in your business. So it's important to know it, but you don't necessarily have to prepare the P&L or the balance sheet, but you need to know what a P&L is and a balance sheet. You need to know what that is.
Right. And you need to find the person, just like with a doctor, you need to find the person who's going to answer your questions and make sure that you understand what you need to know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
that's it.
Since I know you happen to be one of those people, if people want to continue this conversation with you, and I highly, highly, highly recommend they do, what is the easiest and best way for them to find you?
Oh, I am on all of the social media platforms. So,
when you're not in Costa Rica, living it up.
When I'm not in Costa Rica. So I am just a big proponent of financial literacy for the business owners as well as, just individuals. So I'm on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. My website is Retire Ready to TOO or retirereadyinc.com. So you can find me on all of those, and Facebook. So I'm out there, just trying to put out as much information as I can to help people to feel comfortable with numbers so that we can start to, get rid of that shame and guilt and just enjoy our lives, live that life by design.
And one of the things that I learned in corporate, I was in financial services in corporate, and what I realized was the difference between people who have and don't have is access to information.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I love what you're doing, because so many tools are available to people, whether they have a lot of money or a little money. There's tools out there for everybody. The problem is the people who don't have that knowledge. The problem is that they don't have the knowledge. They don't know how to access a tool. So I absolutely love that you're so committed to that financial literacy. It's the difference maker, right? It's the absolute difference maker.
I agree. I definitely agree. So, well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for sharing your story, your insights, your vacation, your approach to business. time, your energy, your awesomeness. Thank you so much for being with me today.